Blog Talk Radio.
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second. Surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement, and this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, eventually we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people, he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better rev than death, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools, and our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn we're spirits, not animals. And he said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Okay, Joseph Gibson here, podcasting from Greensboro, North Carolina. We got so many callers here on the line, I can't connect my guest here, 786. I do have him connected right now. I hung up on him by accident, actually. So we're going to go live here in about 2 minutes. I'm trying to connect a couple other people here, and my special guest, 786, John, he's going to be my co-host here tonight, and hopefully Mandelacom will join us also. So we're going to go live here in a couple minutes here. So just 2 minutes actually. Just give me 2 minutes, and I'm trying to connect some other callers also. My studio screen here, I've got so many callers here, but I do have 786. Just hang on there. I know I got you live here, so just hang on for about 2 minutes, and we'll go live, and I'm going to do about 1 or 2 minute introduction, and I'm going to bring him on, and it's going to be his show here tonight, and we're going to have a lot to talk about. So this should be a very interesting podcast, very interesting. So 2 minutes, we'll be live.
Renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas and the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Dr. Martin Luther King, the apostle of nonviolence in the civil rights movement, has been shot to death in Memphis, Tennessee.
Senator Kennedy has been shot. Is that possible? He still has the gun. The gun is pointed at me right at this moment. Take a hold of his thumb and break it if you have to. We will run a full fast. We have an explosion, and we are defending and we agree. Let's try our best.
People calling themselves members of the Weather Underground last night planted bombs in federal office buildings in Washington and Oakland, California.
They took the babies out of incubators and left the children to die on the cold floor.
Survivors of the USS Liberty are demanding a congressional investigation into what happened and acknowledgement that the Israeli Air Force bombed a U.S. intelligence Navy ship.
The death of bin Laden
marks the most significant achievement to date in our nation's effort to defeat al-Qaeda.
The Taliban is taking responsibility for shooting down a U.S. helicopter. More than 30 people were killed, and there are reports this morning that most of them are U.S. Navy SEALs.
There may be a false flag incident where some ship goes down and be used for the excuse to accelerate the next war.
If there's one thing that has unified Democrats and Republicans, and everybody in between, that we all hated the bank bailout.
The Department of Homeland Security is apparently on a huge ammo buying spree.
It comes out to like 1.6 billion rounds of ammunition.
Today, it is infinitely easier to kill 1 million people than to control 1 million people.
They estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill.
I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
From the front lines of the information war.
All right, this is an information war, and that's what we're going to get into here tonight, information. Joseph Gibson podcasting from Greensboro, North Carolina. All right, 786, you're there with me. You're my guest here tonight, so I want you to open up, talk about yourself, talk about what you want to talk about here tonight. Of course, we'll open up the lines here. I wanted to get you on Skype so you could see the call screen, actually. I was unable to do that on short notice. Maybe we could do that tomorrow night. We want to do a two-part show here. Tonight starting at 8 p.m. Obviously, it's 8:06 p.m., so we started the show. But tomorrow night we'll be on, of course, understanding the times in which we live in today with my friend John. And he and I have spoken privately about several situations and a lot of things. So I wanted to bring him on. So he'll be on here tonight and hopefully tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And hopefully Mandela Khan will join us also in the information war here. And we are in a battle, in a spiritual war, a flesh war, a governmental war here. And I've been on several sites lately talking about several different things. And I want to bring 786 on. So go ahead, 786. Go ahead. The floor is yours, sir.
Hey, hello, man. How you doing? It's good to hear you all. See you all. Well, good that you all are here. The war. I want to talk about war. The war we've been in since we started this country. That our government's been at war with the people, taking over our freedoms, taking away our freedoms. That's probably the best war to talk about. You know, they put us in wars through false flags repeatedly over the past 200 years. And if war, we need to end the war. In my personal opinion on that, revolution is the only solution. We take control. Once the people take control, we control. It's that simple. We don't have to go to war because the elites want to invade other countries and own the world and control all the people of the world. I'm concerned a lot with the geoengineering our government is doing to our environment. You know, they're systematically destroying it so they control the resources of food and water. That's something that's right around the corner for all of us. And once they control that, it's going to be hard to do much, you know, to take it back. But we always got everything in this country belongs to we the people. Every factory, every power plant, everything we produce, everything we serve. We, the people, are the ones doing the labor, doing it all. Our government is doing nothing but extorting us, you know, and making us fearful for our lives from ghost phantoms, you know, I don't know if that's the good word for it, imaginary enemies, you know. That's the whole point of borders and dividing the people, make everybody think different people are the enemies, the wrong people. I just wish we could unite and everybody figure out who the enemy is because it's our governments. It's that simple. And we're 99% of the population. Why are we being extorted? Why do we think it's acceptable? I got a video I just watched. This lady get pulled over for a traffic ticket, a bad tail light. I don't know, the bulb was bad. Defective equipment is the way he wrote up the ticket. She didn't want to sign a ticket. He decided to arrest her. It got really ugly. He ended up tasing her. This is a 65, 80-year-old woman. You know, getting manhandled, thrown to the ground, wrestled, tased. It was a horrible sight. And all because she decided she didn't want to sign.
Actually, 786, that was on the Glenn Beck show, actually, this past week. I heard that live, actually. So the video that you sent me, yeah. She refused to sign the ticket at first, and then she actually took off and then they chased her down, drew their guns on her, just because of a taillight. Just because of a taillight.
Well,
they were going to shoot and kill her. You know?
But if you watch the video, before she took off, she didn't want to sign the ticket because she didn't figure an $80 ticket for a taillight being out was right, which it isn't. It's extortion. I mean, if we had police officers that would have served the public, he would have gone in his trunk, and instead of having a bunch of guns and tasers in there and weapons, he would have had a box of bulbs for the car. He would have walked up, man, let me fix that for you real quick. Okay, you have a nice day. Drive safe. Be safe. Now, that's a public servant. That's what we should have in this country. And I don't understand how people feel it's acceptable to be extorted. All she did was refuse to sign the ticket. He immediately decided to arrest her. All he had to do was sign the ticket and say, refuse to sign, give her a copy to her, and file the copy with the courts or with his boss, his copy. That was his job, from my understanding. But she did offer to sign the ticket, and he told her, no, it's too late for that. That's when she took off. She was in fear for her life. I watched that video, and it's terribly sad. But she was totally in fear for her life. She offered to sign the ticket. He still refused it, and she was like, I got to know where. I got to get out of here, wait for this guy. I got to go where there's people, there's witnesses. And that's what she tried to do. She tried to reach a spot where there were witnesses, but she didn't make it. It was.
Well, let me just say this right here. The definition of arrest, the word arrest does not appear in the language of the Fourth Amendment at all. Yet the occurrence and definition of arrest are the fundamental importance and a lot of things that a lot of people don't understand what arrest really means in the United States corporation. And what constitutes that is that the articles are brought to you for free and open access from what I'm reading here right now. And this, what constitutes an arrest within the meaning of the Fourth Amendment? The word arrest does not appear, like I said, in the language of the Fourth Amendment, yet the occurrence and definition of arrest are of a fundamental importance in applying Fourth Amendment principles. A primary reason the term is important is because when a valid arrest is made, the right to search incident to that arrest is automatic. It is also significant because if an arrest is made without probable cause, subsequent seizure of evidence may be unlawful. What did I just read to you, folks? Does anyone out there understand that, or do we got trolls here in the chat room that have no clue at all what we're talking about? And we're here to restore, well, I am anyway, to restore our republic lawfully. And we have to understand the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. We have to understand that the 14th Amendment enslaves us. There's a lot of legal principles to this, And look, I want to say something. Marbury versus Madison. Any code, statute, whatsoever that your state creates that conflicts with the Constitution is null and void. Anything that conflicts with the Constitution, the real Constitution, the organic Constitution of the Republic, from which we were founded upon, is null and void. And that was challenged. Marbury versus Madison. Look it up. But we've been over this so many times on this show. The Acts of 1871, the Civil War. The Civil War was not fought over slavery. No, it was not. I know that's what the schools teach our kids ever since the 1950s. And when they decided to remove prayer from school and all that, our schools have gone downhill ever since then, and civics is no longer taught. A lot of people don't understand. The Supreme Court does not make law. We, the people, elect representatives to enforce the views of us, we, the people, to enforce the Constitution, not to write bills to the people. A bill. Congress just recommended another bill, a bill to the people. That's right, because it's a bill, and then you got to go to the Federal Reserve Act, and you really have to wake up and understand what a bill is, and understand our monetary system, and understand the United States corporation. And I think we're going to get into that here tonight. But what you just mentioned, that story there, that actually was on last week on the Glenn Beck show. And I know the moderators of that show, they were making fun of it. Well, what part does the police officer diffuse the situation? Like you just said, if he was a real public servant, in his trunk, instead of having M16s and shotguns, he would have a pack of bulbs, brake light bulbs, and say, here, ma'am, here's a screwdriver. Let's fix it so you got a tail light. Let me serve you and protect and serve you so this way here no one rear ends you. Let me do that. But instead, he wants to write a ticket, a $249 ticket, okay? And then when she refuses to sign the ticket, and when she's forced into a contract after that, okay, and force her into a contract, which goes to the corporation. If you understand contractual law and the Emergency Powers Act, you are binded into a contract when you are a United States corporate citizen. You are bounded by that contract. You are an enemy combatant through the Patriot Act. But like you just said, was very important. If he was a true servant, just like, remember Andy Griffith's show, Mayberry? Remember that show? And Barney Fife there said, Andy, why are we delivering laundry for this woman? And Andy Griffin said, the sheriff said, because we're public servants. We're here to help the people. You know? and you see, all these things we have forgotten. And that's a damn shame. Instead, we have Federal Reserve enforcement officers out there ready to haul you in, electrocute you, and just like this woman over a tail light, shoot her dead, okay, because she refused to sign a totally unconstitutional act of public policy that was created by the zombies and sheep out there that voted these scumbags in that write bills to the people. Instead, she chose, no, I don't want to sign anything. You can't force me. Well, then I'm going to arrest you, and I'm going to kidnap you and throw you in a concrete box. And that's what it's all about, right, brother? That's what it's all about.
No,
you know, but these zombies out there don't get that. They don't understand the true law. They don't understand the laws of this country. They don't understand the Constitution. And we're here to wake people up. Now, look, a lot of people disagree with it. I don't want to hear that crap. I don't want to hear that. It's common law. You're absolutely correct. But I don't want to hear that crap, the founding fathers, they were invaders and they invaded this country and blah, 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 blah. And the founding fathers owned slaves, so where were the black people back then? That's all distraction. That's what that is. Because the founders of this country broke away from a king and queen that had tyrannical rule over a people that the people said, hell no, no more. You know what? No more. That's it, period. And it took a lot of courage, a lot of faith and to write that Constitution. And people, they sacrificed everything they had. What are you sacrificing for your neighbor today? What, you going to watch a movie tonight on your DVR? Is that how you're sacrificing? You want to go out and shove your fat face at a restaurant and pay $90 for a baked potato? Is that how you're sacrificing for your neighbor? But go ahead, brother. I didn't mean to ramble on there, but go ahead.
Don't get too hard on people. Don't get too hard on people. They're doing what they can. You understand? Alone, none of us can do anything. It's going to take a mass of us standing at the same time. And then they will stand down because we are the numbers. We are the strength of this country. We still have over 300 million guns in the hands of civilians. If a quarter of those guns ended up on the streets the same day with a civilian holding it, and we went to every government building and arrested these officials, we could go back to the Constitution. We can go to natural law. Do no harm. Right now, what we got is a mafia writing the laws and turning us all into criminals and extorting us. I mean, these are not laws to protect us. They're to extort. It's the mafia system, at best, what our government is. So,
yeah. And to that woman out there that woman that was chased down, there are many there. You have the laws on your side. You go United States versus Robinson, 414 U.S. 218 235 1973. We hold that in the case of a lawful custodial arrest. A full, if you go to United States versus Cruz. You go to a lot of people have stood up and challenged these things. The problem is we're so brainwashed by the Mueller report Trump is a racist. You know what I mean?
It's possible to win in criminal court, but not in these administrative courts. That's the big problem. The administrative courts are running wild completely. In criminal court, you can actually bring the Constitution in. You can bring in, you got rights. You know, you go to these administrative courts, you got no rights, none whatsoever. You know, they just do what they want, and you submit, or they'll put you in jail for a while.
You're right.
Or in prison.
And real quick, my friend, I just want to let callers know if you want to cue in here tonight and talk about rights and the Constitution, or talk about how we can restore our republic and overcome this filthy, rotten system, press the number 1. The phone number is 657-383-0616. And before I let my co-host here carry on, I was on a militia website last night, and they were just totally off the wall with what they were saying. You know, violence is not the answer. You know, you want to see this country in a civil war. Let me tell you something. War is hell. Okay? You want your electricity shut off, have no power. You know, imagine what these people will do without their dumb phones or without social media. They'll go crazy, because they're so wired and tuned up into believing whatever, or taking selfies. Hey, look at me. You know, I mean, is that what that's not the answer. Civil war is not the answer. That's why we're here tonight, to try to prevent that, to wake people up. Violence is not the answer. We don't suggest violence, but we're using the First Amendment here tonight to try to wake people up, and that's what it's all about. Go ahead, sir.
You talk about civil war. Civil war is the people fighting the people. That means the government is telling this guy is your enemy, and the other half of the government is saying that guy is your enemy. You're fighting each other. When in reality, your government is your enemy. Civil war, we all lose. The elites win. The mafia wins. No matter what happens, we lose, they win. You don't want civil war for any reason. What you want is a revolution where all the people unite. We take back our country just by walking into these buildings, and all we have to deal with is the police force. And if there's 10,000 of us in a town, they got a police force of maybe 50 people? If half them people in that town decide, hey, it's a small town, and you get to have to stand up and say...
my friend John, I said this many times. You go to these courthouses where they're extracting money from people, have people scared to death that they're going to lose their freedom. Imagine if everyone in that courthouse got up and walked out and said, "The hell with you." What would they do? They can't do anything.
On everybody. They would put warrants on everybody, and they would just start going to their homes and picking them up one by one. And you wouldn't have a chance if they picked you up one by one. But now, if everybody came to that courthouse with guns in their hand, and you got 5 officers at the door, and you walk in very peacefully, you tell them, look, we're not here for you. We're not here for any trouble. We're here to exercise the supreme law of the United States of America, the Constitution. Per the Constitution, we're exercising the Second Amendment to correct the course of our government. Your boss is about to be arrested.
But brother, we could end up in a shootout then, and then what happens? I don't know about bringing guns to courthouses and stuff and doing that, because that's been tried in Washington D.C. and like you said, they'll single you out. I mean, I'm not sure about that one. I may have to disagree with you on that one, but that's okay.
Well, you got to look at it the way I look at it. If we all did it on the same day at every single courthouse across the United States, every single government building across the United States at the same time, all the way across the United States, I think the day before 2020 election would be the perfect day, by the way. I think that should be Second Amendment Day.
How about that? Well, we tried, John. We tried this, actually, April 15th, 2008. We decided not to go to work that day, not to participate in the corporation. Don't buy anything. Don't sell anything. Stay home.
Yeah, I remember
we tried that, and that was the End the Fed rally, actually, around the country in 2008. And it didn't. And a lot of people did participate. Look up on YouTube the most important video on the internet, where the Ron Paul movement, where they were going against the Federal Reserve, and it didn't work. Because most people needed a pack of cigarettes, they needed a 12-pack of beer, and they still needed to go buy a gallon of milk because they don't have more than 3 days worth of food in their house. It didn't work. We did try that at one time. We did. And we tried the Restore America plan, and the person that was in charge of the Restore America plan, President Turner, of the Republic, they kidnapped him and threw his rear end in prison for 18 years. Said, hey, you're not paying your taxes, you're going to jail. And so I understand what you're saying. We need, but we tried that, and we had over 2.8 million people around the country at that time that were willing to stand behind the Republic. And there are friends on my phone line right now tonight. Okay. They signed documents actually swearing their oath to the Republic. I think Florida is there. You remember that, Florida? When we went to the Restore America plan and meetings in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I think Florida there. We tried this. The thing of it is that there's so much distraction, entertainment. There's so many bubbleheads out there. They just won't. They just won't listen. They just won't. And I think the only answer is maybe you may disagree with me, but until a higher power comes back and says enough is enough and intervenes, because man obviously is lost. He's lost his way.
The people are the power of the country. We are the higher power. That's the part I'm trying to point out to everybody. We don't have to be extorted. We are the higher power. We're just divided. They've divided us. And with hundreds of different narratives, we have been divided. We've been afraid. They fear-mongered people that, we need our government police to protect us, but it's not true. They create the incidents, and then they publicize it.
Well, let me give you an example, John. I've got people in the chat room. Here you and I are having a very interesting dialogue about trying to restore our country and our world here today. And we got people talking about the N-word. Where's this guy with the beep in the background? And this is the problem. This is the problem. They are part of the problem and not the solution. How do we wake people up to come together? We
have to unite. We have to realize that we have one common enemy, the one dividing us, the one putting all these narratives in our head. Look, the Constitution, let's go back to that. Let's go to the beginning. That Constitution was written by the people of this country when there was no government. Government was gone. Now the people wrote this and started a new government, but restricted
and I see callers. Not to interrupt you, John, from your train of thought. Callers will be heard here tonight. I see callers. All callers will be heard. So go ahead, John. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted you on my switchboard, but I apologize. Go ahead, sir.
I just want to point out some things about the Constitution a lot of people don't understand. It was written by men that had just got rid of a government. They knew all government was corrupt, but they had to do something and they had to control it. So they wrote this document to control the government so that people retained the power. That was the point of the Second Amendment. The rights of the people to carry and bear arms shall not be infringed upon, based on for the necessity of a free state of living. Because that way we always have the power, because we are the numbers. If we take up our guns, we walk to a government building, they got 10 officers in there, 2,000 people walking up there. The officers are not going to say, you're all under arrest or I'm going to shoot you. No, they're going to say, how can we help you, sir? And you're going to be cordial. That's the well-regulated part. You be cordial, well-regulated. We're not there to kill. We're not there to burn. We're there to enact the supreme law of the land.
I want to say hello, Cog, in the chat room. Hello, freeamerican.com. Actually, I want to say hello to Cog. Obviously, very well-educated individual. Freeamerican.com. Thank you for that, Cog. I appreciate that, because there's a lot of idiots in the chat room, John. But if you want to ask John a question here tonight, yeah.
The most important part about the Constitution that nobody knows or reads about. Check this out. Let me just get this out, and then we'll go with getting some callers in here. In the Constitution, before they ratified it, they had to ratify the 10 Amendments. That's when the Constitution got ratified. But also, they also wrote in there that once it's ratified, it cannot be changed or altered in any way by anybody. No government can do that, because this is a piece of paper restricting the power. Now the government's going in there and giving themselves power. It's acts of treason and domestic terrorism every time they've altered it since its original state when they ratified it. Nothing can be ratified. There is no 13 states approved it, so we can ratify it. No. You were restricted because it's already done. It's finished. The document that's sealed cannot be added or taken from. And people don't know that, so they don't understand it. Amendment 11 to Amendment 27 and all these articles they added are all acts of domestic terrorism, treason, null and void by law, by the supreme law of the land, null and void already. Just like you were saying about these statues and these things they're putting on us. Okay, go ahead. Let's bring in callers.
I agree. I agree with you 100%. And I'm checking messages here on Twitter and everything because we're on Twitter and Facebook. Hopefully, you're podcasting this on Twitter. On Facebook also, John. Let's take some callers here. Let's take some callers. See what we got out there here tonight. And of course, this is John's show, and we'll do a 2-part series. Tomorrow night we'll be on again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, understanding the times in which you live in today. Every single different night we podcast, we get different callers. And Mr. Sparkles, yes. Hello, Mr. Sparkles, yes. Hello, Ashley. Ashley, yes. Hello, Ashley. Cog wants me to talk to Clay. It's okay. We'll do that. But let's take 978 first. Let's take a caller. We got a bunch of callers on the line. So let's see. Let's say 978 first. Go ahead.
Hey, Joe. This is Jessica.
Yes, Jessica. What can I do for you here tonight?
Well, I just wanted to mention that you'll never restore this country unless we separate the non-whites and we get rid of the non-whites. This is a white country, and the problem is, what does Chicago, Detroit, Baltimore all have in common with sub-Saharan African countries?
I'm sorry,
bro. I
I
didn't hear you. Somebody was interrupting, actually. Go ahead, finish your point, Jessica. Finish your point. Go ahead. If you want to ask a question to both me or John, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. Well, what does Baltimore, Detroit, Chicago, sub-Saharan Africa all have in common?
Gun laws.
I don't know.
Haiti. Haiti's another one. Look, it's not Democrat policies that ruin these places. It's not Democrats. It's the non-whites who turn those places into third world hellholes.
I would.
So what are you trying to say? Jessica, is that we should create a race war in this country and force people to be separated? Is that what you're saying, or should they be voluntary separated?
You cannot be an NPC about this. Everything is not a strict dichotomy. Okay, you know how you get most Mexicans out of the United States? You cut off the entitlement spending, and most of them will turn around and go back home. I mean, we didn't have a wall on the border for how long, and they didn't invade us. But why did they invade us? Because there's free guineas on the other side of that border. There's free stuff. Cut that off.
All right, please. All right, John, would you like to comment on what Jessica just had to say, John? Because you are the co-host here tonight, and I see Mandela Khan, so I'll bring him on. Go ahead, John.
He's trying to divide the people by color. You know, we can't divide the people by color. People are people all created equal. He's in a narrative that, look, I don't even listen to him. I would just cut it down. That is destructive completely. That is divide. That's all. They took us over and enslaved us all by doing that to us. By the mentality he's got that he's been brainwashed into, is causing the problem we got. We have to unite. All of us are equal. Men, women, children, we're all equal.
I could have asked any boomer that, and they would have gave me the same answer. It's so outdated and wrong, it's not even funny. You know what I mean? It's a racial problem. It's a racial problem we have. We cannot, multiracial countries do not work, period.
I think you got a mental problem personally, dude. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not going to address this caller anymore because I'm not going to give him any validity or time with me.
You cannot counter it because it's the truth. You can't say it. You can't point out any evidence where a multiracial country works without constant conflict. It doesn't exist.
You need to go hang out in the opposite color of town that you live in and find out that those people are as loving as anyone else and more caring. Okay?
Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? That is
You're
insane.
Afraid. You're afraid because of all the things they've taught you and lied to you about. Man, really, I don't want to get into this argument over racism. Because
you're making stuff up. You're saying stuff that just ain't true.
All right, let's not argue with each other, because I think John is right. We're not here to argue with each other. You brought a point up that you think separation of the races is going to cure the problems that mankind and womankind have here today in America. You know, I think that's the point you're trying to bring.
Why is it that whites are the only race on the planet that are not allowed to have their own countries? Why is that? You got majority black and brown countries all over the planet,
well,
and
whites
Asian,
you're wrong there, Jeff.
Whites
do have their own. I mean, first of all, blacks don't have their own country either. I mean, so nobody has their own country today.
Not by
they're all controlled by. You see, Jessica, this is where we disagree, Jessica, because if you look at all the countries around the world, they're all enslaved by the central bankers.
It's not a point of whether we agree. These are facts, Joe. So you can't say, "Well, I don't agree." This is the reality.
Jessica, give me one country that is only black owned and no one else can go to. Give me one country.
Liberia. Kenya.
No, man.
These are majority black
countries. That's not true. That's not true. As a white man, I can go to Kenya if I want to.
Yeah.
I can go to Kenya if I want to.
Sure.
I can go to Kenya. As a matter of fact, John was saying.
You go?
Why don't I go? Well, now you're mixing apples with oranges, Jessica. I asked you what country, and you're false in what you're saying. I can go to Kenya if I wanted to, and I'd be more loved there as an American white man than probably even for somebody from China or whatnot. If I went there and said I'm an American white man, they would probably love me more than I would be loved in Chicago. Actually.
Joe, that's crazy.
Well,
that's crazy.
I'm glad you think that, Jessica. But I'm just saying that obviously, Jessica, you have a lot of hate in your heart towards other races and other people.
Not true. Not true. That's a straw, man. That's not true.
Can I ask you a question? This is your perspective. This is not truth. This is not facts. What you're saying about dividing the people.
These are reality.
That is how we lost our freedom in this country. They divided us. And as long as we keep fighting for division instead of unity, we are never going to have freedom in the United States again. The day we all get past all these divisionary tactics they're throwing at us, all of them, and unite, that's the day they lose all their power.
It's a pipe dream. You're dreaming a pipe dream that it hasn't happened by now. It'll never happen. Look, the Hispanics, they collectivize and work for the best interests of them. The blacks collectivize and work for the best interests of black people. And it's only whites that will work against their own interests.
Well, wait a second, Jessica. That preaches what you're preaching. You say the Jews are the division. The Jews are conquering everybody. So why are you accusing black people?
They have a disproportionate influence in public life, whether that's government, dual citizen politicians.
Wait a second. You just said the blacks are the reason why we're divided in America. So which is it, Jews or blacks?
Look, the Jews have the power. They hold all the power structures in the United States.
You just said the blacks have the power because they're able to have their own country. Because you just said the white man doesn't have his own country, but the blacks do. So that's what you said earlier, Jessica.
Don't ask me a question. You got to shut up and let me talk. So, anyways, the Jews have acquired all the power of public life in the United States, and they use blacks, they use Hispanics as their proxy warriors to ethnically cleanse white neighborhoods. And they're basically proxies. And what it is, it makes people think, oh, well, the blacks and the Hispanics, those are my enemies. Not really. It's the Jews that use them for their benefit. You know what I mean? It shields the Jews from their crimes. It's like, oh, no, it's not us, it's the blacks. No, it's really them that caused this racial tension. They're the ones that bring them here in the first place. And
all right, Jessica. All right, Jessica. I would like, if you're going to interrupt everybody, I have to cut you off, but I'll leave you on the line here. Let's bring on, I've got Mandela-Khan on, but I've got other callers that were waiting a little bit before him, so make your point quick. Let's take 111. Go ahead. And then Mandela-Khan will be next. And then 925, and then several other private callers. Go ahead, 1111. Go ahead.
I find the comments very amusing, yet very entertaining on what all three of you are saying. I will begin with you, Joseph Gibson. You claim to be a God-fearing man. I appreciate someone that is a God-fearing man, but you cannot claim to be God-fearing and attack people. You cannot claim that and affront, revile, vilify, offend, outrage, abuse, and humiliate, and mock them at the same time. I noticed that when an African-American caller is on your show or on your platform here, you ridicule them. You aggravate, you provoke them. You talk, sir, please let me finish. Please do not disrespect me. I have. All
right, well, make it quick because I got a lot of callers. You're attacking me, Joseph Gibson. That's fine. You disagree with my platform. You don't like it. That's fine. Okay.
Sir, I am stating the facts. Okay, please let me finish. Okay.
Those are your opinionated facts that you believe to be true, which are not really facts. So. You don't understand the difference. That's your problem.
Okay.
But what's your problem with the other? What's your problem with John? Because you said the three of us.
No.
So can you get off me and maybe talk about John? Maybe.
I said I find the comments very entertaining and amusing of all three of you. But now let me continue.
Yeah.
You, sir, obviously have a problem with the Roman Catholic Church, with Hispanics, because you mock the Roman Catholic Church. You attack it. You obviously believe that the Roman Catholic Church has something to do with the Antichrist, from what I'm saying.
Yes.
If a Hispanic individual calls in, like the Aztec Cholo Khan, when he calls in, you go out of your way to take a slap at him or to offend or slander him, which is that is fine.
Okay.
That is your show, sir. That is your show. That is fine. But
all right,
how
thank
can you love your brother?
Thank you for recognizing that.
Sir.
Thank you.
Sir. And even right now, Mr. Jessico brought up a good point. You ask him a question and you insist on interrupting, and not just to him, any of your guests. And even John right now, John had to tell you to calm down and stop attacking people. Just be quiet. You cannot ask a question to someone and then answer it yourself. Sir, this show is, you said you just called it a dialogue. Well, no, sir, it is a monologue. When you ask the question, you answer it, and another person is about to speak, you interrupt them, and you do not let them talk, sir. That is not a dialogue. That is Joseph Gibson talking about himself, okay? And sir, all I am saying is you have to love thy
Well, I just
neighbor.
let you speak, didn't I? Didn't I just let you speak? So that is a dialogue. That's not a monologue. Do you know the difference between dialogue and monologue? Can you explain it to me? Or would you like me to explain it to you? I just allowed you to make your point, but I'm not going to let you ramble on for the entire show.
Can I speak with John?
So you made your point.
Yes.
Now, do you have anything to add to the platform here without attacking Joseph Gibson?
I would like John to respond, and I'd like to be able to reply to John if you let this happen. But I doubt it, but I would like the opportunity. Please let John speak, and please let me reply to John.
Go ahead, man. I'm right here.
Go ahead, John.
I'm right here. Go ahead. And first thing is, okay, sometimes we interrupt each other, but we'll work on that, and we'll talk private about that and do better on the next show. I understand what you're talking about, but, we can't go on for a long time. Now, what exactly do you want to talk about the show?
Sir, you and Joseph Gibson are obviously not on the same page, because when I have heard you speak about the government being our enemy and how a nation or its citizens do not need of government, and that everyone should be entitled to have the same equal benefits. Well, I've heard on Joseph Gibson's show him saying, well, why should I have, if I bought this Bentley, for example, I earned it, why should I let someone and he specifically mentioned a lower class neighborhood, why should I let someone in so-and-so be able to drive my car that I paid for, okay? And what I'm getting at, John, is that when you come on, Joseph Gibson will agree with you, okay? He had a white supremacist on. He will agree with him. Mandela Khan will be on. He will agree with him. He's had several guests, and he agrees with them when he has them on. And when the moment you guys are off, he totally changes his opinion. And everything he will say now, he will go against it, okay? He is not a firm – he's just very unstable. Okay, I just wish he would stick to his points,
Can I say something?
And we'd know what he was about. Yes, sir. Please do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm listening to everything you're saying. I don't want to focus on that, but I'll say what I got to say. We're all learning, man. He's learning. He's trying to bring in a lot of information. But look, he's paying out of his pocket for a platform for us to learn and communicate together. He brings in a lot of that racist that was just on, me personally, I would have ended the call within a minute of what he was saying. If I had control of the control board, I would have ended that call within a minute. You're not going to sit here and spread racism. You're not going to spread division near me. I control my pages. That's all I control, my Facebook pages. You can go through them. There's no racism. There's no promoting the government. There's no promoting propaganda. I just stick to the core of what my belief is. But we're all learning, and, a lot of information to go through. Give them time. Give them time is what I'm going to ask you, please.
Why do you subscribe to the leftist moral framework by using terms like racism? It's a made-up word, dude. It's a made-up communist Jewish word.
Yeah, it's a made-up word, but it's the word that people understand. I like to speak plain English that people understand. I don't use big words because I don't want people to think,
it's anti-white. It's an anti-white word. It's used to – it's a word that oppresses white people in their own native country. Racism means you have an illogical hate for somebody – and you want to do harm to them. That's just not true. Nobody is like that.
Hang on, Jessica. See, I just proved the caller before John wrong. I allowed him to have a dialogue, not a monologue, okay, and they did. So I just proved him wrong. So therefore, and like John was saying, we're all here to learn, and even John is learning. Okay, and John will agree with me. But John said he would end your call in a second, but I allowed you to stay on, Jessica. I allowed the last caller to stay on, even though it was all about me, and that's not what this show is about. It's about understanding the times in which you live in today. So I think that there I made my point very clearly, and we're all learning. And I think John was very clear on what he wants to bring to the platform here, and that's very important. So, Jessica, you can remain on the line. Everyone can remain on the line as long as everyone yields to my co-host tonight. And I'm going to bring Mandela Khan on now. And then, of course, I'll bring 916 on, and I've got several other private callers. I am the moderator of the show. It is my show. But John is my co-host here tonight. So if John doesn't like something, I will take that into consideration, and I will do whatever John asks. So, and John will be my co-host tomorrow night also at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, let's bring Mandela Khan on. And then we'll bring 781 on. How's that sound?
Sure.
781, I do see you. Actually, 781's been waiting a little while, but let's bring Mandela Khan on first. I've been promising, so let's bring Mandela Khan on, see what he has to say. And hopefully we'll all yield to each other instead of talking over each other. And I'm sure John would agree with that.
Give him a minute. Give him to say what he's got to say. And then remember, go ahead, buddy.
All right, go ahead, Mandela Khan. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
All right. Let me I'm caught off guard because, just like the last caller said, you're a little delusional, schizophrenic. You're having a show tonight on Saturday rather than Sunday. I don't know if you're having one Sunday, but the people are scrambled in this interaction and understand the times in which we live because you have a plethora of different ideologies and different beliefs, different thoughts, different opinions, which means that the mighty matriarch and the Pan-African Intelligence Network is spiritually and politically correct. That even if you hear my voice, no one is right. No matter how arrogant you try to talk to each other, how you try to say this to that or such and such, until freedom, justice, and total independence is in the land, Mandela Plan is wrong. And anyone who comes to the pulpit, podium, telephone, and microphone. So I put that on the table first and foremost. And I'm in total opposition to everything that's being said as it relates to the people. Because religion is thrown in under the guise of white power. And when I say that, I say this thing called racism.
All right, background noise.
Created.
Hang on, Mandelcon. Whoever's got background noise, I'll mute everybody except for John. Knock it off, please. Let's show some respect to Mandelcon, please.
And I know that there's not going to be not one woman that engaged tonight in the interaction. So those who are using their sound effects and everything to try to distort or distract, let me say this to you. Anybody who comes to separate, take away, and divide your evil, and I don't give a damn what color you are. Anybody that comes to add and multiply, we collectively, under we the people, by the people, for the people, that's the final decision, and we're going to be extremely great, and there's not a goddamn thing that the Confederate flag and Uncle Sam can do about it. And I have to say it like that. I got a right to talk to you this way. Because when it comes to the revolution of this country, the genesis, it wasn't just whites who started, because there is no white supremacy. It's white power, yes. The Big Bang Theory, the Big Bang is the big gun and the bullets and the bombs, yes. And whites fought for the Confederate flag, blacks fought for the Confederate flag. Whites fought for the red, white, and blue, blacks fought for the red, white, and blue. So if the truth be told, in this revolutionary revelation of the Ethiopian Empire, we started this together, whatever it is, which is a shithole country now. We started in the Genesis together, and the truth be told, we're going to end this together. And once it's overturned, then anyone is free to separate and go east, west, north, and south at their own volition, unhindered, unfettered. That's the way this thing go in. So I don't know who got prophecy in your Bible, Torah, Quran, Hebrew, Israelite, Moor, Muslim, Christian, but I know what I know. This is why I have a right to talk to you this way. So I'm going to stop right there, because I know ain't no woman going to be on the line tonight with this chaos, confusion, mischief, and mayhem. I already know that. But I'm going to ask you, Joe, are you having a program tomorrow?
Mandelicon, if you were paying attention, and I did send you a message, yes, I'm having a program at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, I announced that several times.
Okay, well, I was paying attention, but I'm not sure that you had alerted the listeners tonight, because, you might have one on Tuesday or such and such and such and such, but you don't always sound along to the people at large.
Like we talked about, not to take up much more time, maybe John wants to address what you had to say. He is the co-host here tonight, but I invited you to be a co-host also. There's nothing wrong with having many co-hosts. But I alerted you privately that, yes, I'm doing a show tonight and tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, John, would you like to...
Hold on. The reason I'm saying that is because, see, I'm here to organize people. And I don't care who's going to want to hear me. And I don't really want to hear nothing that y'all saying. But I know it takes all of the ingredients in the pot to get the temperature just right so that the food will be done, so we can all come to dine. So the fact of the matter is, I know that none of y'all are bringing women to the table to support what you say out of your mouths that you want, that you like, or that you don't like. There's not a man, including you, Joe Gibson, that has a woman that will come to these lines and say, I love the Confederate, I love the New World Order, I love what you love. But see, this is where you're caught, man. This is where all you men are caught. Quibbling, wallowing in vomit, doing a paralysis of analysis, and the last final. The
All right,
last call
John,
is when it's all
do you
said and
want to
done,
respond to
ain't
Mandela
nobody
Khan?
coming together, and I'm not for that shit.
All right, well,
Okay,
we're trying to come together here, Mandela Khan, and I'll let you remain on the line. But for you always say, I'm glad you put words in my mouth before I could speak them. You've said that many times. You don't know if I have women on the phone line here tonight, so you don't know that. But
I know that ain't none of them ever spoke on your behalf. That's what I'm talking about. Don't get me with words,
we're
Joe.
going to find out. That's why we're going to open up the phone lines. But, John, do you want to address Mandela Khan and what he had to say here thus far?
I got a little bit to say. To begin with, if you would have been the last time I was on his show, we had woman caller call in, okay? In fact, there was somebody that I knew because I knew her voice from my page. There's a lot of women on my page. There's probably 75% because women have more time to be activists, and I friend a lot of activists. No matter what their activist cause is, they're activists. So that means they want to make something better. Now the point is to teach them to understand that the only way we're going to make any of these issues on any activist issue better is if we all unite and attack the cause of it. All our problems are by the government. Government is doing all these things to us intentionally, not by accident, not because it's necessary, but to keep us divided, keep us extorted, keep us in fear. They rule by fear, okay? The only way to stop them, they rule by force is where I should be using. The only way to stop them and to change the power is for the people to unite, because we are the power, our strength, our numbers, the fact that we still have guns in the United States. If we stand up, all they can do is stand down. Nobody is going to stand up against the superior force, okay, and fight. And we're not there to fight. We're just there to get our freedoms back, get rid of all these laws that are nothing but extortion, slavery, unconstitutional, completely. There's no harm. You have to have harm. Somebody has to be getting harmed for there to be a crime. When a person gets pulled over to get a traffic ticket, the only crime is the person in the car that's getting the traffic ticket that is getting extorted. That is the victim. The criminal is the officer writing the ticket, extorting that person. Okay?
All right. Background noise, folks. Background noise. Come on. I don't want to mute everybody all the time. You know, I'm letting John here speak as the co-host here. He's addressing something very important here that we need to address foremost, and all of us are facing these problems here today. You know, so go ahead, John. I apologize for that background noise.
No, that's all right, man. Whenever I'm not talking, I mute my phone. So sometimes when you tell me to talk, I might start talking and realize I didn't mute it. I didn't unmute it. But that's just something I learned from doing radio, you know, because I get background noise here too. Where were we? Look, it's real simple, people. Don't you want freedom? Don't you want to live? Or do you want to just serve and survive? I mean, it's freedom is what we should be seeking. What this country was founded under, freedom. What they have taken away from it, all the freedom. It's not acceptable. And people that are so scared that they say, no, we got to have our government, and we got to have this because I'm a law-abiding citizen. Yeah, that lady was a law-abiding citizen until they decided she wasn't. You know, until they decide you're not, or you have something they want. And people don't realize that until they're hit at home. Anybody can be hit by this terrorist organization. Anybody's home, anybody's family can be taken, kidnapped, and trafficked in this country by the terrorist organization masquerading as a government for the people, by a terrorist organization masquerading as the Department of Children and Families in the best interest of the children. But they never do nothing in the best interest of the children. It's trafficking children. And right now, because of the new reform on the foster care system, we have become the fastest industry in the United States today is child trafficking. Isn't that enough reason to unite, bring this to an end for the children? It's that simple to me. Go ahead, somebody. Your turn. Anybody that wants to talk.
John, we got a bunch of callers on the line here, and those are very interesting subjects that you brought up, and we need to address them again tomorrow night. You're absolutely correct. We're all seeking freedom. You know, we really are. So let's bring 781 on to the phone line that's been waiting for 48 minutes. Hopefully this 781 has something to contribute here. And then 506 is next after that. And then I still got Jessica on the line. I haven't hung up on you, Jessica, but I can't take background noise. I don't know who's doing the background noise, but when someone's speaking, at least yield to them and then say, at least try. There has to be some sort of moderation. There has to be. And isn't that interesting? Otherwise, we'll all just be attacking each other. Isn't that interesting? Maybe that's why we have the government we have today that's killing us and trafficking us, because we're all so stupid that we just can't get along with each other because that white guy needs to rule over this neighborhood, or the black guy needs to rule over his neighborhood, or the Hispanic community needs to rule over their neighborhood. And we're not remembering what we forgot, like Mandela-Khan always says. So let's take 781. 781, go ahead. You've been waiting a while here. 781.
Hello, my name's Adam Dingle. John Saun brought me on. So for the listeners and whatnot, and even for you, I'm not even sure what your name is, whoever this host is.
Joseph.
But Joseph, hello. John, I'm sure you know this, but Joseph, can you tell me where this statement comes from? When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another? Do you know where that statement comes from?
I think. Are you addressing John, sir?
He was asking you if
Joseph.
you know he's quoting. He's quoting the Declaration of Independence, I believe. The beginning of it, the preamble of the Declaration of Independence, when it becomes necessary for the people to overthrow. I don't do it word for word like he does, but I understand what it says and what the meaning is. The government is so oppressive, it becomes necessary for the people to unite and overthrow, to change the course of their government, or to abolish if necessary, basically. But he can say it word for word. Those founding documents of this country, if people knew what they really said, because the internet lies about 90% of it, man. When you go looking on the internet, all these articles in the Constitution, they're all add-ons that were illegal. That's terrorism. They're not part of the Constitution.
It addresses this in the Declaration of Independence, and it's known as pretended acts of legislation. I have to disagree with you, sir. The purpose.
Can I answer that question? Because you proposed that to John. The purpose and effect of the preamble is very simple. All you have to understand is, the preamble is not the source of power for any department of any federal government or governments. The Supreme Court is often referred to as evidence of the origin of scope and purpose of the Constitution. Its true office, which was wrote by Joseph Story, actually. If you look up Joseph Story and his commentaries, I'll read it right now to you, actually, is to expound the nature and extent and application of the powers actually conferred by the Constitution, and not subsequently to create them. For example, the preamble declares one object to be provide for the common defense. No one can doubt that this does not enlarge the powers of Congress to pass any measures which they deem useful for the common defense. But suppose the terms of a given power admit of two constructions. The one are more restrictive, the other more liberal. And each of them is consistent with the words, but is and ought to be governed by the intent of power. If one could promote and the other defeat the common defense, ought not the former upon the soundest principles of interpretation be adopted? And you can go to Jacob versus Massachusetts, 197 U.S. 11, 1905. The preamble there basically is about liberty. There were all of us. It was the effect of liberty for all of us to have individual liberty as an individual responsibility. remember, I always say this on my show, liberty is an individual responsibility. It doesn't mean, you can go out and do whatever the hell you want. Okay, that's not what the preamble was for, like I just read to you. It was about individual liberty as a responsibility and individual accountability. And we've gone away from that because we've gotten into a corrupt corporation that has hijacked our Constitution. Did I answer your question, maybe?
With the whole federal Constitution, and I've discussed this with John many a times, and I'm sure we'll continue to discuss it, but I believe that that's where our problem began to exponentially enslave us all is through the federal Constitution of 1789, which is essentially when it was recognized.
All right. Well, let me just say this. Well, it's very simple that I can answer that. I can answer what you just said very clearly. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, very important, those commas, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, to ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That was the preamble. I think it's very important to understand the commas and to understand what I just said. And that was the purpose of the preamble and the Constitution. But, you see, we're not under the Constitution anymore, sir. We're not underneath that anymore. We're underneath a corporate District of Columbia municipality corporation. And you have to go back to the Acts of 1871. And that's why the Civil War was fought. It's not a federal constitution, sir. It's a state. That's why states adopted their own individual state constitutions. Okay? What did I just say? What did I just read to you? We, the people of the United States. No, it's not a federal constitution. Let me finish, sir. What did I just say? We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our prosperity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. United States, that means each state has a right, and that's why you have state constitutions. You see, when you read the Constitution, it's like when you read the Bible. A comma can separate 1,000 years from one verse to the other. You have to rightly divide the Constitution and understand the amendments of the Constitution. And that's the problem. We take it as a whole, and then we come up with our own individual opinions and apply that as a factual foundation. That's untrue. That's the problem with people today.
Can I say something about that prelude that people misunderstand? They think that prelude right there gives power to the government over all those things that they describe, but it does not.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yes, I agree with you, John.
The power. We're doing this so we can maintain these things. Now, the Constitution gave the government the power to form a military, to write laws on their military bases that were necessary to control the military. They were allowed to write laws there. They're not allowed to write laws on the public. They have no authority over the public per the Constitution. That's how they maintain our liberty. It is the power of government.
The federal government. What is the federal government's job, really, technically, under the Constitution? To secure our borders, to ensure a currency so that we can all barter with on a national level.
I don't know that it choose the currency. I'm not sure about that part. I haven't really looked at that, so I can't argue with you about it. I don't really know that it ensures currency, but I think we need to drop the currency.
No, John. I have to disagree with you there. No, you're absolutely correct, but I have to agree with you also. No, they don't have a right to choose a currency, but the United States Treasury does not have the power anymore through the Federal Reserve Act to ensure an honest monetary system, which the Constitution says weights and measures gold and silver. Now, then you got idiots out there that'll say, what am I supposed to walk around with 10 ounces of gold? No, look, because you can't adjust weights and measures. Gold is an ounce. An ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. You can't adjust that. You cannot fractionally reserve or fractionally hyperinflate gold. Gold is an ounce. An ounce of gold is an ounce of gold. Weights and measures. That's why the founders explain this very clearly about having central bankers hijack our Constitution. They warned us many times throughout the years of that. That's why in the Constitution, if we were under the Constitution, only gold and silver is legal tender. We barter with gold and silver.
The government didn't control the monetary system, though, did they? The people had their things that they put the value on. But I think that was the thing that actually brings us to our downfalls of every nation, every country, the monetary system.
It does. I agree.
Capitalist system, it can be taken over by whoever can take control of controlling the capitalist money. And now that person's going to have all the money, so he can buy anything he wants in the country. He can buy the whole country, and as what has happened to America. They just bought us. The power of the pen is mightier than the sword. They said that to us because that's what they were using to overtake this country. But we can't take the country back with the power.
And then you go back, and John, not to interrupt you, but you go back to the money changers, and now and the money changers. You see, go back to the original money changers when the first bank started. People were bringing in their physical assets to someone that said, "We'll hold it for you," and they put it in a vault. And they noticed that people weren't coming back and getting their tangible assets back. And a good documentary to watch, folks out there, including John, is The Money Masters. They go over this, the origination of how people started bartering since the beginning of time and what they bartered with. And then these people said, hey, I'll hold it for you. I'll secure it. I'll charge you a fee for that. And then they noticed that people weren't coming back and getting what they were bartering with. So they said, hey, I got a great idea. Let's lend out our reserves and lend it to other people in need and charge them interest. And then, we carried on and on and on after that. And then they said, and then you go to gold and silver, the gold standard and whatnot. And then they went with paper script. And then they said, well, we'll write them notes. And that's why you have Federal Reserve notes today, because it's a lie. You're the debt. You got to go to the Money Masters. It's a great documentary, actually. It's about 3.5 hours long. It gives you actual articles and documented facts that you cannot deny and why we're in the situation we are concerning our bartering system. And the founders warned us, back to the Constitution, about our bartering system. They really did. They warned us many times. Read the Federalist Papers. They're very interesting. And when the founders wrote the Constitution, they were like, we need to tell people why we wrote these amendments and why we back them and why we sacrificed our farms, our lives, our fortunes, our families, why we fought for the freedom that we have here now. And that's why they wrote these things. The Federalist Papers, and they back up each amendment. And it's just like the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, and the Fourth Amendment, the Third Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, the original 10 amendments. And then, of course, we became corrupted. And, this is hard, but this is good. We're doing a two-part show on this. Very interesting. But, John, I got other callers here. Let's listen to some new voices here. 506. And then John's my co-host here tonight. So, John, you can interject anytime, of course, also. So, go ahead, 506.
Hello.
Oh, boy.
Comma.
Hi.
Hello.
Next caller.
You want me to go to the next caller, John?
Yeah, goodbye that one. Next caller.
Yeah, next caller. Okay, John wants me to go next caller. He's my co-host. We're not going to say hello for 10 minutes. Okay, if you had something to contribute, you should have said it very quickly. We got so many callers on the line here tonight. Next caller, hang on here. Who's been waiting the longest? Let's see here. Let me go down the line here. All right, private caller. Let's see, 111. Go ahead. I'll hang up on you just like I did the last caller. We're not going to say hello 10 times. Go ahead. You're unmuted, private caller. Okay, you don't want to talk?
Okay.
That's fine. We're wasting time here. Next private caller. Go ahead. You're unmuted. Go ahead. You were holding.
What's the phone?
Well,
Go
they're
ahead.
private callers. I've got about 72 private callers on my phone line here, and obviously they're not. They're probably they know they're not going to be able to spew their nonsense, so that's probably why they're hanging up. Private caller. Yep, there goes one there. He just hung up. Next private caller. 18 minutes you've been waiting. Private caller, go ahead.
Well, it looks like I'm back on, but
well, good to see you again.
Yes, thank you. The statement that I had made earlier, and that Joseph said that his typical, you see, I proved him wrong, is, may I please speak? Let's let John speak, and may I reply to that? But it just proves my point, that when someone is on, Joseph will go with the flow.
That's great. Can you contribute something else to the show instead of attacking the host of this show,
yes,
or
sir.
John, or
yes,
me,
sir.
or anyone else?
Yes.
Do you have anything you want to talk about on understanding the times in which you live in today?
Yes,
and yes, I'm interrupting
absolutely.
you. Do you have anything you want to add except for criticizing Joseph Gibson?
Yes. Let me know when it's safe to speak where I will not be interrupted.
Okay.
Just go ahead.
To meet you. Go ahead, speak. What's on your mind, man?
All I am saying is that we need to come together, that we cannot preach prosperity and unification and yet be on the course to divide people. We cannot do that. Okay?
Amen. I agree with you 100%.
Then that's all I'm saying. And
exactly.
The reason you guys both agreed that Joseph is learning, but I need him. I need him to understand the times in which we live in. Absolutely, you're learning, but you know that you are in the process. Okay, Joseph is not aware of that. I'm just trying to point out to him that he needs to be.
I think he is. I don't give him enough credit. He has a lot on his plate, and you're not giving him enough credit. Just give him time, man. Let's just move past it. And what we'll do is, when you want to try to help him out with the show a little better, instead of doing it on the show, contact him through Messenger, man. And just have a private chat with him. He's a good guy, man. He will listen, and he will adjust his course of action. You pointed out to him. But I don't want to make the show about Joe. Let's, like you said, unity. We need to stop anybody that's dividing. This guy comes on, he starts talking about dividing the colors. That right there is how they enslaved us all. They got us fighting each other. That's wrong direction, 100%. We got to do 180 from that. People got to change their way of thinking. I understand his perspective because he was raised around people and a neighborhood where this is what everybody talked about. This is the way everybody was. It's probably the same families in his neighborhood that been there for 100 years, and they haven't let anything else in. But that'll change with time. I don't know if you can agree with me, guy. Go ahead. What's your name, man? I'm sorry.
Excuse me, sir. My name is Lawrence.
Lawrence. Go ahead, Lawrence.
I'm sorry, but I will not give out my last name.
All right, well,
that's fine. Go ahead,
that's fine, Lawrence. And I wouldn't want you to give out your last name because there's a lot of people on Blog Talk Radio that may attack you for calling into this show. So I wouldn't want that to happen to you, Lawrence.
Go ahead, Lawrence. You were saying some things, man. Keep on talking.
The importance of unifying us all is you cannot belittle people. That's all I'm saying. If you want to reach out to people on your platform, you need to sometimes you have to, preach your message and say, okay, look, here is what I did, here is what I'm wrong, not here is why I am the greatest of all time. It's, look, I understand my faults, I have dealt with them, and here's how we're going to move on, come together, and be better. That's all I'm saying, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's good advice. I think that was directed at me personally, and I appreciate it, and I take it very seriously, and I do work on it. I have this thing to where I talk to a lot of people online, randomly people. I have a lot of people, and I'm trying to wake people up. And I get these people that are so into their cult that no matter what you tell them, they need their government. They need the police. They need their tyranny. And after a while, I do get kind of rude when I realize, you know what, you're wasting my time. Let me go see if I can find somebody else to talk to that's not in the fear that another country is going to attack us, or the Mexicans coming across that border are infringing on our freedom or taking from us, because they're not. They come here, they provide for us, you know, and they're just trying to survive, man. We're all people of the earth, man, and we're all just trying to survive. If we didn't have governments, we would be helping each other survive. We got people in power, and they can't be in power if we all unite. So tonight we live in peace. We can all provide and share, and we don't even need a monetary system is my big thing. I believe that the monetary system is what's everything in the long run. And people can't, like, get that through their head that if we just, instead of somebody holding all of it, it doesn't exist. So we share everything we produce. That means there's no stores where somebody puts a price on it and can control it and oppress the masses. You know? It's just you do your part, everybody does their part for society, and we all prosper from it. It's a hard concept because it's something that.
Well, I think that's where you and Mendelicon actually agree on, is about the monetary system, and I think John, you and I, maybe we need to talk about that also, because I think that last caller was saying, you know, if I create something, say I create, just say I invented the car or a motor, and we were using horses back in the day, and I created a motor, and I said, you know what, I want 5 cows and 10 horses for this motor. We're bartering together, right? Are you saying you disagree with that, John?
Yeah, I do. Okay, we learned to create this motor. Okay, we set up a factory.
No, John, I got to disagree with you. We did not create this motor. I'm saying I created this motor.
Okay, but you create a motor. Okay, you get it working. It's something that is revolutionary. It uses almost no fuel. It's the future. You give it to the people, we start producing it, everybody receives it, everybody prospers from it. There's nothing you need in life because you know what? Everything that's being produced is at your fingertips and your disposal anytime you want. So you don't need money. You can get the recognition for it, put your name on it, and everybody will know, hey man, this guy came up with it.
Okay, well okay, all right, John. Let's have a dialogue here now, John. So therefore, if everyone should have everything for free, that's going to create that's kind of like socialism in a way. Don't you agree? I mean, everyone should be given something. If I was to work through my blood, sweat, and tears and create a motor with gasoline and say, hey, I just created this, and everyone wants it now. Everyone wants it around the world. Let's just say in my county. Let's not try to get this out of scope here. Let's just say in my neighborhood. Everyone wants it. And I say, no, I created this through my blood, sweat, and tears. So I want 9 of your horses and 10 of your cows and 8 of your chickens. Am I wrong for doing that?
But I got the question. If we don't have a monetary system, and you create this thing, and 10 horses, 10 cows, and 10 chickens.
All right, background noise, people. I'll start muting people. Yeah. Jesco, I tried to bring you back on. If you're going to create background noise, sorry, John. You're going to create. We're trying to have a dialogue here.
I stay on mute. I mute myself. I don't make noise, Joe. It ain't me. All right, I stay on mute.
I don't know who it is. I'm just telling the person to knock it off. That's what I'm saying. How's that sound? All right, whoever it is, knock it off. Go ahead, John. You see how they just distract us? Go ahead.
Okay. We don't have a monetary system. You created this. You want 10 cows, 10 chickens, and 10 horses or whatever. Okay. You can go get those 10 cows, 10 horses, and 10 chickens anytime you want. You can keep your motor if you want to, or you can share it with the people. Freedom, dude. Share. Now, that's why.
All right. Obviously, someone's creating background noise. It's apparent. I don't know who it is. I'm going to mute everybody except for John right now. You guys just blew it.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to leave everybody on. You'll have to press 1 again if you want to get back on. And I know it's not you, Mandelicon, so I'm going to leave you on. But, you know, I don't know who it is. I know it's not John because he's my co-host. But I'm going to mute everybody then, and you have to call back in or press 1. You know, that's just ridiculous. We're having a dialogue here, and we're trying to understand the times in which we live in today. We're having an honest dialogue here. All right, go ahead, John. I apologize for that.
No,
you know, this
is,
you know what happens when I open up the phone lines to everybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, dude, you already can have everything you want. You created a motor. Why did you create it? You created it to share because everybody's sharing everything with you. There's nothing out there that you would say, well, I'll trade it for this. No way. You can have that if you want it. Now, still, let's talk about your motor. Do you want us all to learn it and start producing it for everybody? Because that's why you did it. We need to start working for the collective good of everybody, and nobody takes power and control of it, because then it becomes communism. We don't want somebody in power. We don't want communism. We don't want government. Government is the inherent evil, and kings and queens, rulers, everything always works the same way through history. We need to evolve into another way of humanity, man, to where we start prospering and we do only good. We focus on doing good. We focus on good things, good energy, good environment. And that's only going to happen if there's no profit in it, if it's done out of the goodness of your heart for the people. And then it will always be the best and done for the people, the best way to do it as far as environmentally, you know, as far as everything. Medicine would become medicine, not drugs that make more money to get people addicted on drugs to make more money. It would be, okay, you're sick. This is the best thing. If this root right here, it'll cure you right up. Because most medicines are roots. And then they turn around and they go in the lab and they add other stuff to it and play with it. And it's not as healthy as a medicine as it was when it was just the original medicine that they went ahead and hid from the public the truth about it. You know, and we've been curing this planet provides everything for us freely. That's the point. We were born here to live. We were born to live, not to serve. You know, we were born to live. We were born to grow as a species.
So are we born? So are we born to serve a creator? That, I mean, obviously now let's get into the biblical sense here. And I was hoping some pastors would call in. Let's just say, hypothetically, John, we had the Garden of Eden at one time where man and woman had everything for free, and they gave it all up for their own lust and compassion. Now, if I was to create something, let's speed up into today's times. If I create something, everybody's going to want it for free. That's going to lead to non-creation and people not wanting to create anything or create everything. It's going to, right? Am I right?
You know, it's human nature. It's human nature to want to do something better than the other guy could do it. So creation will just start getting better and better rapidly, because it won't be a matter, I learned this, now I have to keep it secret so I can make money off it on different applications in the market. No, I learned this. Hey, everybody, look what I learned. And now everybody works collectively, and we really prosper from that knowledge that was learned by man. We are a species, okay? I don't believe in the creator-like religion, but I do believe in the freedom of religion for people to believe how they want, as long as they're not forcing their religious beliefs on others. You know, you want to live away because your religion said so, you have a right to if you're not doing any harm to anybody. But you can't say, my religion says this, so we have to make a law and everybody has to live by this. That's the end of freedom again. I believe in the freedom of religion.
Well, let's take some all right, John, let's take some calls. I'm getting some people in the chat room that's saying we need to take some calls, so I'll listen to them.
Sounds good.
All right, let's take, let's see, 14 minutes, private caller. You're first, and then 781 again. Go ahead. Private caller, I've been trying to take private callers, but you guys don't say anything. Go ahead.
Mr. Gibson, I am not hiding from you.
Oh, Lord.
Well,
okay, you're not hiding from me. That's good. I don't want you to hide from me. Now, what's your point?
I have been harassed by your goons lately. My name is Ted Gunderson, and I haven't called you in months. And during those months, I have been harassed multiple times.
Why would you call me to begin with? What are you talking about?
Hey,
I don't understand. The show isn't about Joseph Gibson here tonight. It's about understanding the times in which we live in. So what's your point?
Your war
or whatever you want to call yourself.
Your war on the trolls is ungodly. I am not a troll. I have been harassed by county sheriffs, county police, state police, the FBI, the FCC. I've been calling me and telling me that it is against the law to call in and to disagree with someone on Blog Talk. This is against the First Amendment. All I did was call in and disagree with you.
You didn't get no call telling you that. That's way out of the line, dude. Nobody's going to call you and say it's against the law to disagree with another human being, because then you just look at it like,
I don't think so either. I know that.
You hang up with something like that. That's not even a conversation.
Exactly, it's not. So, sir, do you have anything to add to the show here tonight? Because nobody would tell you to do that. Or if you're being harassed by law enforcement.
I've been victimized by you. Your constant threats.
I've never threatened anybody, sir. I don't threaten people.
Hey, if you feel threatened here by this show, you need to not call in, and we will not contact you.
Hey,
let me mute him. Obviously, John, that's a crank caller. Obviously, he's very unstable. These are the people I deal with, John. So
just hang up and move to the
next private caller. Go ahead. Next private caller. Go ahead.
Yes, this is
all right,
Lawrence
you don't want to
again.
speak?
Yes.
Yep.
Hello.
Lawrence
this is
again.
Lawrence
all right.
again, sir. Yes.
All right. I'm sorry I muted you. I got many other private callers, but go ahead, make your point real quick. We're down to 28 minutes, and I want John to have some, and I want to bring Mendelicon back on. Go ahead, Lawrence.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to mute myself, and I'd like to have some closing comments. Go ahead and take some of your many callers, Joseph.
All right.
Please.
I'll tell you what. I won't mute you. I will not mute you, so my microphone will stay red next to your private number. How's that sound? And you can have some closing thoughts. How's that sound? I promise you will. All right?
That's perfect.
All right, next private caller.
Joseph?
Go ahead. All right. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Adam does the same thing. He's done a lot of blog talk, and when he's not talking, his mic is always on mute, so never have to erase him off the board. He is very respectful, and he mutes his mic when he's not talking, not to get any background noise in. Same thing as I do.
What area code was that, John? What area code?
Excuse me?
What area code was that, John?
I don't remember.
All right, it might be 781. It might be 781. I'll bring 781 back on here. Let's take 510 real quick. 510. Go ahead.
Hey. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing good.
Hey, guys, I called in last week. I have a question, and I don't think I've ever asked this before. What do you guys think about American-made, I don't know if I would call it American-made, religious institutions from like, what is it called? The New Awakening movement that happened in the early 1900s, who have these teachings where they're trying to get people not to vote and not to get into politics. What are people? Were these people by the government or what?
American-made, first thing, is a good thing to me, because we do need to produce everything we need in this country. Only ones that make money in importing and exporting are the elites, okay? We're making things here, sending them somewhere else, and they make the money with all the bartering they do and all their commerce they do. All it does is make it more expensive for the people. On that. What was the second part of that?
these religious institutions that are trying to get people to stay out of politics and not to vote. I would assume that these are cold.
As far as politics is concerned, voting is an illusion. The votes don't matter. They've already decided what puppet's going in there. They give you a choice of their 2 puppets or their 5 puppets or their 100 puppets, but they're all their puppets, every single one of them. When they get in there, the agenda that was planned for that administration is going to take place. You know that, right? Background noise.
All right, I don't know who that is that's making the background noise. All right, hang on. I got rid of that private number. There we go. Sorry, 510. I'll bring you back on. Go ahead, 510. Go ahead, John. Finish answering this gentleman's question. Go ahead.
As far as voting doesn't do anything. All it does is tell the government that the people are still dumb enough to believe the stupidity of the elections and all the division tactics that they're throwing at them. They're still buying it. They can continue pushing their agenda further, faster, and harder. The more votes they get, the harder they're going to hurt us. The more they're going to hurt us on that next season till the next election. Because they're like, we got them dumbed down so much. Look at how many voted. Hey, let's go ahead and implement this part of the agenda to enslave and take away more of our rights and more of our freedom. Voting is a very bad thing, in my opinion. It is a destructive act. It is actually a destructive act.
Well, John, I got a question in the chat room for you. Mr. Sparkles wants me to ask you a question. I don't want to ignore the chat room here because there are some interesting points here. How do you feel about Antifa?
Antifa, I'm pretty much sure. I can't say for sure, but it's a good chance that that's just opposition. Controlled opposition is the word I'm looking for. They're controlled by the governments to come in and cause the chaos, so the government has a justification to do what they're going to do next right behind it, which is get violent. And that's my opinion. It's controlled opposition. It's actually done by design of the government, that whole movement. It's destructive. Antifa is totally destructive. They're not about freedom. They're not about anything. They're causing chaos. It justifies the government's police force to enforce more violence. That's my opinion on Antifa.
Okay. All right. I agree with you on that, John. I will agree with you on that point. Antifa is a disgusting organization that's controlled, obviously, to create division amongst the people. I will agree with that. Mr. Sparkles, I think, agrees with us on that point. No, John is not a relative to me. Turd MC Joe. No, he's not. Well, maybe he is related to me. Maybe we came together for a reason. Who knows? I don't know. Who cares anyway? He's my friend, and I love him as a brother, just like I love Mendelicon as a brother. So what difference does it make? What difference does it really make?
Hello? Yeah. Can I ask another question?
Yes, go ahead real quick, and then I got to get the closing thoughts here. Go ahead.
Okay, really quick. Okay, I've noticed what they're trying to do with what they call illegal immigration here is they're trying to irritate the people. They're saying, we don't have any money for this, and we especially don't have any money for this demographic of the community in America, but we have something for them. And then I kind of see the same thing that's happening in that England and the UK and what's the other one? Sweden, where they're having illegal immigration problems. And it's almost like they're being financed to cause havoc.
Okay, the immigration thing. They're using that against us to fearmonger us. They're using it to traffic more people, to steal more tax dollars from the people. They tell you the immigrants are stealing your tax dollars here, coming to this country. They're destroying your freedom or something, right? But then they put them all in cages. And they hold them all in the cages. They start abusing them, and then they start charging you $175 a day per head per immigrant. So now it's costing what? 100 times more than it was costing before they said, this would save you money if we do this. Well, that proves already that the whole thing was a fraud, just to extort people again. Yeah, but, look, the immigrants, it's not their fault the way I look at it. Those are immigrants because we are bombing their countries, man. We're dropping 100 bombs a day right now, man. 100 bombs a day on cities around the world. We're creating immigrants every time we're doing this. They're victims of our government. And then our government tells us, look, they're coming, they're the enemy. No, the enemy was our government. They don't have a problem.
You're absolutely correct.
John,
I got 20 minutes left, and I got a lot of people that want to have some closing thoughts here. So let's bring back 781, and then let Mandela Khan, of course, have a few minutes also to because he is a friend of the show. So let's bring 781 on. You get 2 minutes, 781. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Yes, as John said earlier, I'm good with the blog talk. If I call in and you do bring me on, I mute myself when I'm quiet. But yeah, going back to the Declaration of Independence, I hold the words in there very, very high, and it takes roughly 7.5 minutes to read that from start to finish. There's 27 grievances listed within the Declaration of Independence, and of those 27, roughly 23 of them are still relevant today. And we're highly uneducated and misinformed in the reasonings and the actuality of forming what is known as the United States of America. I strongly advise everybody to go reread that and learn it and teach it to our kids and to your kids and to your friends and family. Very powerful document, and yeah.
The best part about that document to me that it tells the people in there that it is their duty, to overthrow a government.
Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it.
All right. This is closing thoughts, so this isn't a conversation here. We're doing I want to give closing thoughts. So thank you. I appreciate your 781, your closing thoughts here. And we'll be doing another show tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I promise you'll get back on. And so we'll do a show. There's a 2-part show here, something we haven't done in the past. So and John will be back with us 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Jessica, you want some closing thoughts, and then I'll bring Mandela Khan on for some closing thoughts. Jessica, go ahead. 978. Go ahead.
This guy is completely lost and conditioned to think of, it's either you're a Trotskyite neocon or you're a Leninist liberal. I mean, there's no thinking outside these Jew-created dichotomy. I mean, it's just absurd. You know what I mean? This guy can't observe reality for what it is because he wants to, believe these crazy libertarian abstractions that just aren't rooted in reality.
Excuse me, what guy are you talking about?
Well, you think women can should work and have interests in public life? I mean, that's such a retarded.
I don't understand those. You threw out all
these
labels.
Don't deserve rights.
Labels
women
labels.
don't deserve rights.
Who are you
they
talking
are
about in general? Women are women. Women, some are smarter than men. Some are more
children.
Honor.
They
and
are not capable. They should not. They should not ever have influence over others. Ever.
It's open about the individual person. Stop judging gender and judge individualities of people. I try to listen to what somebody says before I can say anything about them. And I try to listen hard and figure out who they are before I say anything about them.
Do you understand why women don't deserve rights? They don't deserve rights because they are not ever held responsible for anything. Rights are tied to responsibility. They have none. They're children.
racism, man. And
all right,
division.
Jessica. I gave you some closing thoughts there. Obviously, you're angry at women, and that's fine.
No, that's
obviously
not
you
true.
must agree with Muslims that you hate.
That's not true. That ain't true. Joe, that ain't true. Why is it that when I speak about how women should be used in society, here's the thing: women have been duped. They've been lied to and deceived, that thinking that going to work and working in a cubicle for a boss is somehow empowering to women and wasting those fertile years not having kids. They think that's like a good noble cause. It's not. It's a lie. That's a friggin' lie.
All right, Jessica. I gave you some closing thoughts here. I got to get to Mandela Khan here. He's been waiting patiently. Mandela Khan, what do you think here? I want to give you about 3 minutes. Go ahead, Mandela Khan.
No, go ahead. Let Mandela Khan go, man. He needs a lot of time. He's got a lot of good things to say. Let's listen to Mandela Khan.
Yeah, let's let Mandela Khan speak, and then I'll allow John to wrap up the podcast here. Well, there was another private caller that wanted to speak here, have some closing thoughts too. Good God, I think I lost him. I don't know. I got so many callers on the line. Oh Lord. Maybe it was 925. Go ahead, Mandela Khan. I don't know. I got so many people. That's why I need John here, maybe to be my co-host, help me moderate the. Or you, Mandela Khan, moderate this call screen here, yeah. Because I've got a chat room here filled with people. I'm getting messages on Facebook, and so a lot of people listening via the internet. So go ahead, Mandela Khan. Go ahead. The floor is yours, uninterrupted. Go ahead.
As the world turns, I have to veto and override.
You're right about that.
And override the jingoistic nationalism that was discussed here tonight without the proper jury being present. And that's the people. Usual suspects are usual suspects. I'm one of them. However, when you look at the world, that's what I see. 5% of the people live in the United States of America. 0.1% of so-called blackness or Africans live in America. 99.9% of those that's African or indigenous that leaves their sovereignty and integrity and dignity and their national constitution's honor, they don't live in the United States of America. So, having said that, the jingoism under the Masonic order of the patriarchs has to be overturned. Now, I know that people are going with documents. The Bible was written and this and that, such the Constitution, the Declaration of the Bill of Rights, as though that's the beginning of humanity. That's a suggested, selective amnesia. You see, that's selective amnesia. I tell you what, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gone. You go ahead. Much love, much respect.
No, you don't have to show completely.
No, we don't need to interrupt Mandela Khan here. All right, Mandela Khan got frustrated. He hung up, so I don't know why he did that.
But I tried to break in nicely. We don't treat it like it's the beginning of time.
I know. He got frustrated. Yeah, he got frustrated. He hung up. I don't know why he did that. But he talks a lot about religion himself, and I don't like when he says I can't be challenged or ask questions, because that's not right. That's not right at all. No, I do disagree with him on that point.
Well, but the point is, what he was saying is that, which was a completely wrong assessment. Okay. That we treat that like it's the beginning of time, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. No, but there are documents that are written that if you take the time to read the actual documents, you realize they are very wise documents on freedom and liberty, how to maintain and when to take your freedom and liberties, to have them, to exercise your power of the people, to unite, to stop a governing body from hurting us, because the government body is hurting us all, man. They're extorting us all. And those documents, they just put good things in writing in them. It's not because the document is what it is. It's just the writing in them is what people have to focus on. If you bring me a document that has something better, hey, we got to put this one up here, But, for now, that's the best starting point we got, in my opinion, is the Constitution, the original, because they weren't allowed to add to it or alter it in any way. So everything added, all the amendments, all the articles that they added after the fact were all added illegally. They're all null and void by law, by the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, which in the Constitution says they're not allowed to alter this document, add to it in any way, shape, or form after it is ratified. After in 1791, when they ratified it, that was the final writing in it. And government took it upon themselves, because they were restricted the power of doing this, to do it anyways, and then give themselves power over the people. The Constitution did not give the government power over the people. It gave them power over the military to defend the people. And if you read it, Congress and all those other things are supposed to control the president. If the president is acting wrong with the military, that's what Congress is supposed to control, not the people of the nation. They're not to write laws on us. They're to keep our president that controls the military, because he is the supreme commander of the United States military. Okay? That is his role. So he's got ultimate power over the military to defend this nation. And then the government that was formed was to keep him in check. Okay, go ahead. Joseph?
No, you can continue on here. I was just conversing with someone privately in the chat room, actually. Many people don't understand, a lot of things that I know and who I've spoken to in the past. But MandelaCon, that's not right with MandelaCon to hang up like that. That's being closed-minded, MandelaCon. That really is. I don't appreciate that. I really don't.
I don't think we should harp on it. We'll do.
Yeah,
I'm sure
I agree with you. I'll talk to him privately. But you know what? That right there, look, all this women and mothers should control the world. That's not what we're all about here on Understanding the Times. I believe women should have a say, though. I mean, look, without women, you can't have men. Without men, you can't have women. As simple as that. But the matriarch is a religion, actually, and that's the deception that I don't think MandelaCon understands. I don't think he understands that. I really don't. I don't get that at all.
I think he does, but he sets his ways. Hopefully, we're all here to learn more, man. That's the whole thing. And if you're not willing to look at more and learn more, well, you're stuck in a cult, because we were brought here to learn more and to be better and to grow. I feel we're all gods, man, and we limit our powers by the fact that we limit ourselves because we let people control us, and that's where the lack of freedom comes in. And they control all the resources, they control all the knowledge, they control all the technology. They're controlling everything on us, where it should be freely to the people. Open dialogue should be free.
I agree. I agree with you, John. I agree with you, John. I don't know. I lost the closing thoughts of this show here, actually, tonight, but I promise not to do that tomorrow night. I'm going to try to get you on. Let's see here. Let's take 925. I think 925 is a new caller that's been waiting a while. 925, go ahead. We still got a little bit of time left.
Greetings, Joe. This is Savita. How are you?
Well, MandelaCon said no woman will call into my show tonight, so MandelaCon's going to be angry with you, Archiveda.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. That's to speak on your behalf, Joe. No woman has come on to speak on your agenda and to support anything that you say, and that's what he's saying. And it took me to realize that, I'm about the only woman that comes on quite frequently, and I come in the representation of the matriarch. And so the matriarch is not a religion. I don't know where you got that from and how you feel so free to say that. I know this is your podcast, and you can say whatever you want to say. I get that part.
Well, MandelaCon, Archiveda, not to interrupt you with hang on, Archiveda, not to disrespect you.
You interrupt me all the time.
Hang on, Archiveda, I'll let you speak, but hang on. That's what MandelaCon was saying.
At all.
All right, I'll allow you to speak. Go ahead.
It's all good. I'm not going to argue with you. I don't ever come on the show to argue with you, especially with you. And so I just hear you making statements once Mandela Khan exited the show that you should not be making because you're not speaking correctly about what the matriarch is. And so often we come on and we explain the matriarch is Class Action 567, the installment of the people's government. And as we come together and unite as a people and start looking at the difference between us, then we can go much further. That's what we're talking about. I don't know what religion you talking about or referring to.
Okay, can I ask a question about the religion part with you? I don't mean to interrupt you.
I want to say that I agree with you when you state about what the military is and the president's role in the military. You're absolutely right, and that was the purpose, and that's exactly what Fort Matriarch Boots on the Ground is to establish, as well as the people come together and remember who we are. Okay, I'm listening.
Yes, I agree with you on that too. Yeah, thank you for that, by the way. I appreciate that. But no, what I was going to ask you about, okay, he talks about this cross with the loop on top.
I'm sorry?
The cross with the loop on top is what the center focuses of what he talks about, right?
The cross with the hook on top. Are you speaking of the Ankh?
Yes, the Ankh. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, the Ankh is a representation of eternal life. It's a representation of the feminine energy, the womb, in which all people come through this earthly plane to exist upon. So to say that women have no say-so or should not ever have a say-so, I don't understand that. Everyone has a mother, and your mother always had the end of the last word in any household. I don't care what Dad said. You better do what Mama said do or get your head knocked off. Now, did I lie or did I make anything up?
I agree with you. I can't argue with you on the fact that women should have as much say as men.
Okay, so I've spoken nothing but the truth. So just as in a household, a house is ran in order by the mother, by the woman, so why should the government not have women in the seat of authority where they belong? So to question that, just question everything about each individual person's moral compass within themselves and what they believe for within themselves. So you're just adding to the destruction and the chaos that everybody is going through today because we have a patriarchal mindset that's all wrong, that says that women have no say-so, and that's wrong.
No. Right now, the society, we're getting more women into government than ever before in history, faster than ever before in history.
Because just what Mandela Khan speaks of, the rise of the matriarch is happening right now, right before us all. That's what that's all about. So as we speak,
but my point is,
we see it happening right in front of us. And we're still arguing about it.
Okay, let's go back to
not arguing, but we're debating.
Okay. The point of the Ankh is where? Egypt.
The opponent, I will not accept that. I will not accept that, and I will not allow you to continue forward with that. Because
if I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. I may have done wrong research. I did some research on it, and everything took me to that. I can't hear her.
Archiveda, I don't think he can hear you, Archiveda. I don't think he can hear you, my friend.
And they still trying to make it so that men can do this very miraculous thing that women are born to do.
Okay,
I'm not trying to make anyone angry at each other. We're just trying to understand the times in which we're living today. So I don't think we can hear you, Archiveda. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, we can't hear you. It's a mumble in the background you sound like. I don't know why. But I don't want to make anyone angry. I just want to ask questions and learn. I may have done bad research. Did my research on the Ankh. It brought me to Cleopatra's religion from the Egyptian days, and of course, woman was in charge in these days. Cleopatra was in charge. I still can't hear her.
Archiveda is very busy, John. So she has daughters to take care of in the background. So I'm not trying to disrespect her in any type of way. So I'm just trying to say that we can't really hear you, Archiveda. That's all.
Hopefully you'll call in and we'll continue tomorrow. I'll ask questions. I want to know. Maybe I did something wrong. I'm still wrong.
But from the fact that we are all in the same situation.
Archivade is a friend of mine, so I don't want to disrespect her in any type of way whatsoever, John. Obviously, she's,
disrespect her. Can you hear what she's saying? I hear her in the background, but I can't understand.
So
maybe we got a bad cell connection or something. I don't know.
And then to give a little bit of truth in the process.
There we go. Now we can hear her. Now we can hear you, Archivade. Now we can hear you.
We got to operate in love, and we don't right now. We're operating in hate. We got to operate and live and let live, and let people be who they are, and get out of kill or be killed, because that's what we're in. You can't even walk up to these people have to.
Okay, Archivade, I heard you pause. My thing is with government is not get more women in or more men in. Get rid of the government, because that's the problem. I'm not looking to change the government into the same by different people. I want to abolish that evil system that has been created. And I really can't hear her, but what I was trying to say is we should.
Yeah, I think we got a bad connection, John. I think we had a bad connection with her. That's okay. I'm not trying to disrespect her in any type of way.
No, I'm not either.
I think we got a bad connection.
Not in any way, and don't be offended by conversation, people. It's conversation. If you get offended, you got to calm yourself down and start thinking rationally again, because then you're not listening at all, and then it's just a lecture. If you want a lecture, I don't think this is the place to do it unless you're Joe, because he's the only one that has the right to lecture on this show.
Well, John, I want to thank you. I think you agree with Archivade a lot. I think you do. I think tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I think she came on late. I've got so many callers on the line. I know she's busy, and she is a friend of mine. So I don't want to disrespect her in any type of way. So I don't think she's being heard properly here tonight. So
okay, let's call it a night. I really got a
we'll call it a night. We don't want to offend anybody. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I'll message everyone privately, of course. I think So John, she always comes onto the show, and I'll take her point into consideration. What I did hear from it, I know she's probably busy, so I apologize for that. It could be because we had so many callers, Archivada, so I apologize for that. Maybe you weren't heard properly here tonight. But, John, but tomorrow night we'll continue the show. We'll continue the show tomorrow night. It's a two-part show. So I'll contact you, Archivada, privately. I apologize if you weren't heard properly here tonight. You did call in late, so... But, John, thank you. It's a two-part show, everybody. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. John, thank you so much, and I look forward to having you back on as a co-host again.
Joe?
So we got to wrap up the show here tonight. I want to thank everybody that did tune in. So good night. We did have so many people, John, and you got to remember, I can only handle 250 calls. So once I reach that point, if anyone calls in, their voice sometimes breaks up,
We'll finish. We'll continue tomorrow night. It ain't ever over until we got our freedom in this country 100%. It's not over. One thing I wanted to make clear to people, do not settle for anything but less than 100% freedom. We unite, we the people of this country, we don't settle for anything less than 100% freedom. We have no need to make peace with evil, because evil will not stop creating more evil. We need to just get rid of it, have 100% freedom. That's my opinion.
All right, and I want to say good night to Jessica for calling in tonight. Jessica, of course, thank you so much. Hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And 781, you're more than welcome to join us. We got a lot of calls here. And sometimes that happens. We get so many calls we can't handle them. But that's a great thing. I was just a little saddened that MandelaCon hung up, and I got criticized for that. But that's fine. I'll talk to MandelaCon off the air. That's what happens. But, all right, John, I'll be in touch with you on Facebook. Thank you, Archivada, though, for calling in. I appreciate it. And good night, everybody. I gotta wrap up the episode. John, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m., okay?
Tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Peace
All right,
out.
all right. Take care, everybody. Please be safe out there, everybody.